For decades, Pakistan has been a safe haven for terrorist groups. Osama bin Laden was not found in a cave in Afghanistan but was found in Abbottabad, which is in Pakistan, just a few hundred meters from a military camp. Leaders of Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammad, and even Taliban has found shelters in Pakistani soil. Yet today, the same Pakistan is crying foul, talking or accusing Afghanistan of harboring terrorists, launching airstrikes across the border in the name of counter-terrorism. Yes, the irony couldn't be much sharper, but the story is much deeper. It's a story about how borders were created by colonial powers. It's a story about old rivalries, new diplomatic moves, and how India's quiet and strategic resurgence in this region. Let's talk about this entire story in detail in this episode of Dev This Side. In October 2025, which is this month, heavy fighting broke out across Afghanistan and Pakistan border. Pakistan said that they have killed around 200 Talibani fighters in a retaliatory airstrike because Afghanistan had already attacked Pakistan's border posts. But here's the twist. Pakistan said that these strikes were aimed at TTP, which is Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, a terror group that works or operates against Pakistani state itself. And where does Pakistan claim that the TTP is hiding? They say that it is hiding in Afghanistan under Talibani regime. And it's a bizarre situation. The Afghani Taliban, which Pakistan helped create, now shelters the Pakistani Taliban. And the same Pakistan that nurtured the jihadist network is now fighting against them across a border which Afghanistan does not even recognize. To understand this entire tension, we need to go back to 1893. That's when British diplomat Sir Henry Mortimer Durand sat with Afghanistan's Amir Abdurrahman Khan and drew a line, the Durand Line, to separate British India from Afghanistan. It wasn't just a border, it was an effort to keep Russia's expansion into Central Asia out of British India. Afghanistan would become the buffer. British called it a strategy, whereas Afghans called it a theft. After 1947, when Pakistan was born, Pakistan inherited this line thereafter. Afghanistan refused to accept it. In fact, Afghanistan were the only country which voted against Pakistan's admission into the United Nations. Since then, Durand Line has been one of the most controversial borders of the world. Afghanistan called it an imaginary line drawn by the British Empire. Pakistan called it the international law. The Durand Line was not just about geography. It was part of a great game between British Empire and Tsarist Russia. The British feared that Russia would invade India through Afghanistan. Therefore, they created Afghanistan as a buffer state, an unwilling pawn between two empires. Later, during the Cold War, history repeated itself. Afghanistan leaned towards Russia or Soviet Union for their arms and their training, whereas Pakistan joined the US camp, becoming one of the key ally of US in the Cold War era. When the Soviets invaded Afghanistan in 1979, Pakistan became US's front-runner ally. They trained and funded the Mujahideen through CIA money and Saudi backing. These Mujahideens later morphed into Taliban. And once again, Pakistan played both the sides. They created a fire, they feeded a fire that still burns today. Fast forward to 2025. Pakistan now accuses Afghanistan of something that they did for ages, sheltering terrorists. Islamabad claims that TTP leaders like Noor Wali Mahsood operate freely from Afghan soil and that its recent airstrikes are counter-terrorism defensive operations. But Kabul rejects these claims. Talibani government says that there is no safe haven for TTP in Afghan soil and that the recent airstrikes by Pakistan are a violation of Afghani sovereignty. Passes or border crossings like Torkham has been shut down, trade is disputed, and both the sides are reinforcing massive troops. So, Pakistan's decade old strategy of controlling Afghanistan through militants have finally backfired. For years, India has refused to deal with the Taliban, but that changed this year. This month, the Foreign Minister of Afghanistan, Amir Khan Muttaqi, visited New Delhi, met S. Jaishankar, and both the sides issued a joint statement which talks about development, counter-terrorism, and regional peace. But what shook Islamabad was this. The joint statement mentioned Pahalgam and Jammu and Kashmir as an intrinsic part of India. Pakistan went ballistic. They said that this is a violation of United Nations resolution. But why is India engaging with Afghanistan now? First would be to control Pakistan's influence in Kabul. Second would be to safeguard national security and trade routes into Central Asia. And third would be to keep a foothold on Afghanistan's reconstruction and politics even under Talibani rule. India has invested heavily in Afghanistan's infrastructure, from the parliament building in Kabul to roads, dams, and even hospitals. Now it is using diplomacy to turn that goodwill into influence. But why should every Indian know about this issue? Because this isn't two countries just fighting with each other. This is about how South Asia's entire security map is shifting. First, terrorism and security. The same militant groups that are attacking Afghanistan or Pakistan has once struck India. Understanding these networks is crucial for us to anticipate future threats. Second, geopolitics. India's outreach to Taliban now shows that New Delhi is learning to play realpolitik, engaging with hostile regimes and securing long-term interest, even though that is not what India does generally. Third, diplomatic leverage. For the first time, Afghanistan, which was once Pakistan's backyard, is now warming up to India. This shows that South Asia's power is shifting. Fourth, historical echo. The Durand Line, which was drawn in 1893, still shapes today's wars. Colonial borders, Cold War games, and terror politics all collide in one small mountain frontier, and India cannot afford to ignore it. Pakistan's hypocrisy is finally catching up to it. The monster of terrorism that it once nurtured for decades is finally biting it back. And as the region reshapes itself, India has a chance to lead with diplomacy, strength, and foresight. Understanding this issue between Pakistan and Afghanistan is not about just two countries fighting with each other. It's also about understanding where India stands in the next great game of Asia. So guys, that's it for today. I hope you liked the video. If you found value in this, please don't forget to subscribe because we are going to break down geopolitics and economics in a way that actually makes sense for all of us. See you in the next one. Till then, stay happy, stay diplomatic. This is Dev this side signing off. Peace.